66 years ago, I was the 10th child born to Mr. James Gladden and Mrs. Maud McKinney Gladden in Durham, North Carolina. 3 siblings had passed away before I was born. Of my parents' children, I was the only one who graduated from high school and college, although my pursuit of an education was full of struggles and challenges. During the second semester of my junior year of high school, my mother passed away. I moved to Baltimore, Maryland with an older sister, enrolled in Eastern High School, and integrated all-girls high school. The educational environment at Eastern was very different from Hillside High School, the school I attended in Durham. At the end of the school term in Baltimore, I moved back to North Carolina and re-enrolled at Hillside High School. An older niece and her daughter had moved into my parents' home. Therefore, another adult family member was there to provide supervision for me. Excited as I was about graduating from high school and fulfilling my mother's desire for at least one of her children to complete the 12th grade, on the 4th day of my senior year, I was taken to Duke University Medical Center and diagnosed with a spinal cord injury. 2 weeks earlier, I had fallen from a push, resulting in paralysis of my body from my neck to my toes. I was 17 years old at that time. A long period of surgeries, hospitalizations, rehabilitations, and adjustments followed. By God's grace, I graduated from a hospital bed to a wheelchair, and finally received my high school diploma while in Duke Hospital in June of 1967. Following my high school graduation, I was transferred by train back to Baltimore as a new patient at Johns Hopkins Hospital. In October 1967, I was admitted to Montebello Hospital, a rehabilitation facility for persons with physical disabilities, and where I was inpatient for 2.5 years. Through contact with the appropriate resource services for people with disabilities, as well as campaign letter writing to my congressman, I was approved to receive full funding to finance my undergraduate college expenses. I actually enrolled and attended college while a patient in Montebello Hospital. After my discharge from Montebello, I was given residency in an accessible foster home. Months later, my sister and brother-in-law purchased a semi-accessible home and moved me in with their family. In June of 1972, I received an AA degree and graduated with honors from the Community College of Baltimore. In September 1972, I was accepted at Oregon State University to further my studies. After attending several meetings at Temple No. 6 in Baltimore, I received my X in March of 1973. Shortly afterwards, I withdrew from college to accept a teaching position in the University of Islam, where I taught for 3 years. With only 1 semester remaining at Morgan State University, I re-enrolled and received my BS degree and graduated with honors as a member of Alpha Kappa Phi Honor Society in May of 1976. I immediately enrolled at Johns Hopkins Master of Educational Administration and Curriculum Development Program and received an MS degree and graduated with highest honors in May of 1979. While attending College of Baltimore for 2.5 years, I only saw one other student in a wheelchair. There were no students in a wheelchair attending Morgan State University while I was a student there. At Johns Hopkins University, I did see one other student in a wheelchair. Stringent laws mandating the accommodation of people with disabilities were not in place. This was altogether new territory for exploration by me, and it was tough as I was admitted in the hospital several times during the pursuit of my education. On the day of my graduation from Johns Hopkins University, I was offered the assistant professorship position in the Department of Education by the head of the department, Dr. Elaine Davis. However, I declined the offer to continue my service as a teacher in the Claire Muhammad Schools in Baltimore, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and Atlanta, Georgia. I organized and operated my own homeschool as well as taught in other homeschool programs while teaching in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, and purchased a hand-controlled lift equipment van so that I could transport myself to work. I teach driving lessons for motorists with disabilities on special engineering equipment and personally drove to Chicago, Baltimore, Georgia, and Virginia. My first marriage, which occurred in July 1975, lasted for 10 years, and from that union, I was blessed with 2 sons, Adil Abdullah Hassan, Rashid Muslim Hassan. When my marriage ended, I experienced being a single mother with a disability for 10 years, although I had a very brief marriage during that 10-year period. I married again in 1997 to Ronnie Sadiq Amin and became a stepmother to his son, Raeed Sadiq Amin. At times, it's amazing to me how Allah has blessed Ronnie and me as believers to keep praying, striving, and struggling to build the institution of marriage, particularly because of the challenges around having a disability. I thank Allah for our newest family member, my first grandson, Kadaya Rashid Hassan. I'm deeply grateful to Allah for allowing me to live an active, fulfilling life, as well as for giving me a motorized wheelchair to keep me moving. I love people, I love working with my faith community and my residential community. Praises are due to Allah for blessing me to receiving training on various levels. My community training includes certificates of completion with Georgia, Voices That Count advocacy specialist for people with disabilities, the Organizing Institute, Interfaith Disability Network, and Voice of Mothers and Masjid Women's Committee. In addition, I serve as a board member on the following nonprofit organizations, all about developmental disabilities, Disability Link, and seeing a need to address concerns among members with disabilities in the Islamic community, and organized a committee called Muslims with Disabilities. When I moved to Clarkston, Georgia, I reorganized to assist refugees with disabilities since Clarkston has such a large refugee population as a settlement town. With the support of the Georgia Council of Developmental Disabilities, I organized Project Access, a community-based committee whose purpose was to identify and educate refugees with disabilities about services they were eligible for. As a community connector, the position which I'm currently working with the Clarkston Developmental Foundation, I have received the following training and certificates: Community Transformation 1 and 2 and 3, Emory School of Public Health, the Community Academy, Missouri State University, the Kenyan Nonviolent Reconciliation Program 1 and 2, Emory University Clarkston Community Center, and the Clarkston 101 Training Program, a 5-month government training program for the city of Clarkston, Georgia. Residents from a variety of faith communities formed a committee called the Clarkston Interfaith Group, which my husband Ronnie and I are active members. 2 months ago, my husband and I received the Silver Star Award for Community Service from the Clarkston Community Center and were honored with a dinner and program. Later on the year, the roving listener group, the Intergenerational History Gathering Committee of students residing in Clarkston and Emory Public Health students held a banquet in appreciation of seniors in our town, and I was one of the seniors honored at this event. I'm grateful to Allah for using me to share my life with others through articles written in the following media: the Rehabilitation Magazine, Betty Hasan, Miss Wheelchair Maryland, and Miss Wheelchair Maryland, the third runner-up, 1977, 1978. And she said to make sure you knew this was not a beauty contest. She said to make sure I mentioned that part. The Religious News Service Magazine, the Zia Magazine, Hodge and Wheelchair, the Atlantic Interfaith Broadcasting, the National Public Radio, Story Corps, and IDW Block TV Radio. Allah has blessed me with the gift of inspiring with writing, which is expressed in many forms, such as reading cards, universe readings, a unique line of Quranically inspired special occasion cards, poetry, children's books, Hajj manuals for Muslims with disabilities, a workshop manual for people with disabilities, a book about my life that is near completion, and a book called Insights. I additionally provide training for 80 supervisor managers and employees with the former AirTran Airlines regarding services and accommodating flight passengers with disabilities. In preparation for developing a home-based business, I received training through the Goodwill Administration, Business Now, the DeKalb County Chamber of Commerce, home business programs, and partnership with Community Action Micro Enterprise Program. Thank you for allowing me to share this good life with others. For Allah says, is there any award for good other than good? Imam Mohammed truly blessed me and others when he began his legacy of teaching us that man is mind, and taught us so much more about the true identity of human beings as the inner self, the inner person. Last but not least, when I spoke with her today to get her final, just to get her final words and thoughts, she told me to make sure that I share with you that all of her accomplishments and everything that she has accomplished has not been without it's been with Allah's grace, that He has placed the correct